Hey, long time no see. I thought that I'll open up with no plan or agenda, but just speaking from presence. A lot has happened here personally on my end. Excuse the radio silence, but I'm ready to get back to it and hoping to transmit some of the changes and openings that's been happening here in Milo. And I hope that you find it somehow useful or valuable or relatable, for we all need some company on this path, for it is not always easy. So, something that's been opening up here that I feel inclined to talk about is how this transparency of experience sips into my awareness. And it was recently in a meditation where I was playing with the boundary of the outer and inner world, where the boundary begins to dissolve. And essentially, what happens is that you recognize that everything arising, whether it's sight or sound, or your inner sensations, such as emotions or uh, physical sensations in your body, do in fact appear in the same field of awareness and consciousness. And as you stay with it, this is not something that the mind will necessarily grok or understand straight away, for it goes against our ingrained beliefs and conditioning. But if you stay with the actual direct experience of it, you will find that there is no boundary. There is no inner and outer. Those are only labels that mean nothing. There are thoughts, there are empty labels that point to something conceptually, but not in direct, real experience of reality. And so I've touched that before a long time ago. It's been kind of present in my experience, but what opened up recently was recognizing, and here's the essence of it, that whereas that boundary seemingly has dissolved, there was still a very subtle belief or experience that the outer, so there was still a boundary even though the boundary seemingly has dissolved, and yet there was a deeper, more subtle um, boundary formation happening, where the experience of the outside was, of course, effortless and effortless and light, for lack of a better word. So, as I look around my room, taking in my visual field, hearing the sounds is totally effortless. It carries no weight. However, as I bring my attention to my body, and I might become aware of contractions, I might become aware of some pains, just tension, something that feels heavy, some emotional turbulence or polarized parts or thoughts that are battling with themselves essentially, or whatever else it might be. There is a weight associated with it, like a real tangible weight. It's like moving from that open space of air here on the outside, and then going in, it's like moving through a molasses, it's moving through honey, but much less sweet, depending on the day, of course, and how you feel in your body. But we all know that experience of contraction, which then gives rise to the whole loop of patterned thinking around trying to escape our suffering. Of course, that's how I imagine most of us, if not all, have ended up on this path. And suddenly, with that recognition that I'm still making that discernment, it's still binary, the things out there and my inner world, something relaxed, something let go. And that more subtle boundary I was pointing to began to dissolve as well, to the point of feeling like everything is just this effortless grace, this effortless, spontaneous appearing in the now, including the thought of tomorrow, yesterday, including the thought of time, including the thought of space, including the sensations moving through, whether it is bliss and peace or anxiety and dread. It is all modulations of the exactly same field, and even the arising phenomenon of the sensation of weight and burden and contraction is inherently, as paradoxical as it might sound, is free of that. It's transparent. It's empty. It is all empty. And with that, as I allow myself to rest in that recognition, there is a rest. There's a resting, there's a liberation. And with that, what I'm noticing is the identity structure, the self that is being constructed around the experience of the inner world, and the boundary that we arbitrarily put up and construct and bring into life, into our lived experience, which is, in fact, as a matter of actual direct experience, not really there at all. It is just modulations of the same field of awareness. The sense of there being a separate self here is but a collection of thoughts and sensations, pretty much identical in nature to the sound of the cars on the street, or the light, or the sight, or whatever else it might be. And there's something really important, it feels like, intuitively, something poignant or something revealing about the recognition of how contracted that sense of self feels a lot of the time. It really feels like a weight. And in the moment of that release, that which it opens up into, which it always has been part of, it's like that experience of weight is just something that was kind of bought into, identified with, reified out of thin air. It's like a illusion or delusion. I'm not quite sure which word to use, but it's not real. It just feels like it's real. And in that moment, as it releases and opens up, beyond the structure of the self, as it begins to loosen and begins to thin out, because it's not necessarily binary either. There's a thinning out. There's a palpable thinning out of that subtler boundary and that subtler sense of somebody separate. As we open up to that which it always has been as a matter of real experience or fact, it's it's liberating. It's I begin to understand why it is called liberation, why in the moment of letting go, why even letting go and surrender, right? It's a letting go of the identification with the thoughts that would argue that there is a separate self that needs to manage and organize and protect and survive and do and think and decide and heal and fix. As that dissolves into some sort of a non-doership, into just pure being, everything is just spontaneously arising in the now. Sure, there's still a sense of a doer, but that is somehow seen to just be an arising, and it's being identified with much less. There's less buy-in into that thought, which is still here, it's still present, but it is thinning out. And with that comes tremendous freedom. So that's something that I felt I wasn't sure what I was going to speak about, but that's what came out. I'm really excited to share it, and let me know in the comments if that resonated or if that was relatable or useful. And I look forward to making more of these, and I'll see you in the next one.